Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aaron O'Neill says ex-fiancé Jason Valley forged her signature to make unauthorized credit card charges. Jason says he had permission.
Go ahead.
If you look on the credit card statements, it shows her charges, then my charges. Her charges, then my charges.
I'm talking about your charges, which are in excess of $5,000, sir. Not her charges, the charges that you made, whether it be for gas or restaurants or anything else. Now, are you telling me now that your agreement was that you would split those charges 50-50?
We never had that agreement, no.
So your agreement was that you were supposed to pay the credit cards?
For my charges, yes.
Right. All right. So we just took care of that. Give a guy long enough and he always just gets right in there. All right, Mr. Valley, now let's get to your counterclaim, sir. Let's start with this truck that you say she owes you money for.
Back in October, we purchased a 98 Chevy extended cab four-wheel drive together. Okay, my financing wasn't going to be the greatest. She said, let's put it in my name, we'll get a cheaper finance rate. The Chevy pickup, when we purchased it, it was bone stock. It was no add-ons, no nothing. I purchased lift kit, all kinds of accessories, and when we broke up, she came to my shop saying, I want the truck. I said, that's not a problem. I will take my stuff off, I will put your tires back on, do whatever has to be done. No, I want it now. I said, well, I'd like to have my property. And she says, no, take me to court.
Yes.
Okay. We purchased the truck? No. I purchased the truck. He has credit worse than a 2-year-old. I purchased the vehicle myself.
Who's making the payments on the truck?
He was making the payments on the truck, which I also show that he was also delinquent on the payments for the truck. So I had to pay $500 just to get current when all of this happened.
Who's making payments on the truck now?
He was. Oh, I am.
Now?
Oh, I am.
Okay. Is the truck in your name?
Yes. Always has been.
Did you ever make an arrangement with him that he would be reimbursed for any additions or any modifications that he put on the truck?
No.
All right. Now let's leave the truck for a minute. Did you enter some sort of a contest with him?
Yes.
All right. And that's the last part of your counterclaim, sir, that she owes you for half the prizes that were awarded to you as a couple from this dream wedding contest, which turned out to be not a dream wedding.
Nightmare.
So, tell me about that.
We won gift certificates to different places like jewelry stores, and it was like $3,000 in gift certificates.
Okay. You want to respond?
Yes, Your Honor. The total for the gift certificates retail face value was $3,305. None of the gift certificates have been used. I have sold about half of them in retail value, and I have had $1,200 from those gift certificates, and I'm also showing that...
Show it to him, as a matter of fact, first, before you give it to me.
And I also have the original entry showing that it's all in my handwriting and my effort that was placed forth, and again, my effort to sell.
But you won as a couple?
Correct.
All right, and you sold some of them, is that right?
Right, and the ones I have remaining that I did not sell actually equal $50 greater value than the profit that I made on the ones I sold, and I'm more than welcome to hand them over to him now.
Okay. Mr. Valley, you want the other half of the gift certificates?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Give them to him. Perfect.
There's the photographer, $955, the caterer for $250, and then 2 vacations. One has a retail value of $475, and the other's unmarked, but it, I'm assuming is
whatever. That's what he wants. He wants to sell it or he wants to use it. All right. Now, I think that we have resolved this matter. Mr. Valley, you owe $5,000 for the charges that you put on her credit cards that, according to you, you were supposed to pay for. According to her, you stole. I take your word for the fact that you had a permission, but you agreed to pay for them. So you owe $5,000. The vacation packages and the photographer, you have half the value of the gift certificates. As far as the truck is concerned, I find that there was never an agreement that you would be reimbursed for anything that you put in the truck. The truck is in her name. She is currently paying for the truck, so for the truck you get nothing. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He really thought he was sneaky and that he would get away with stealing forever.
It's her word against mine.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reininger versus Lignar. Step forward, please.
Nurse's assistant Eva Reininger and her husband, mechanic Raymond Reininger, are suing their neighbors, landscaper Brad Lignar and his wife Deborah. The Reiningers claim the Lignar's dog, Sammy, destroyed their backyard.
Mr. and Mrs. Reininger, it is your claim that the defendant's dog damaged some property of yours. Tell me about that.
Somewhere around the 2nd or 3rd week of February, we found the dog wandering around our home.
What kind of dog was it?
Black Labrador. We saw he had a tag on with a telephone number on it. So we took the dog in, and I made a phone call. The phone number that we called was disconnected. I looked on the computer on a reverse directory, and I found the address. We went to the home. We noticed that there was nobody home. It was about a mile away from our home. And we had left a note that we had found the dog.
And you kept the dog in your house?
In our backyard. We have 2.5 acres fenced in. 2 or 3 days, we kept going back to see if anybody was there. We had also called animal control to let them know if anybody phoned in that they had a missing dog, that we had him. Finally, on a Monday, I had gone by the house again, and there was a car in the driveway, and I asked them if they were missing a dog, and Mr. Lignar said, yes, you have my Sammy. And they have a big fenced-in yard, and he said, our problem is he keeps jumping out. At that point, I said, would you like to come and get him? He says, well, where do you live? I said, about a mile down the road. At that point, he said, no. He says, just open the door, let him out, tell him Poppy's home, and he'll come home by himself. So I was on my way back, and then I saw Mrs. Lignar coming to get the dog. So we stopped in the street. The dog went and got in the truck with her.
Okay, so she actually then came to the dog.
Yes, she was on her way there. A week, 2 weeks went by. All of a sudden, we look in the backyard, and there's Sammy scaling our fence in our backyard, and now he's got a longer piece of chain attached to him. So he was with us again for a couple of days, and by now he had started.
Did you call them again?
Yes, we did. We tried calling, and nobody was answering. So at this point, I was starting to get a little fed up, and I said, this is ridiculous. They had told us the last time that they had gone to Daytona for 4 days, and apparently the dog was left unattended for 4 days while they were away. At this point now, I had already contacted the humanitarians who I work with. I work with Animal Rescue, and I work with several animal organizations. They were all willing to come and take Sammy if they did not want him. Now, we started noticing he was digging huge holes in the backyard, and he was digging out our shrubs. And now he was at the point where he was jumping over our fence and jumping back. Then we had a phone call. We had a message on our answering machine from Mr. Lignar saying, I know that you have my dog. I'd like you to bring my dog back. So we brought the dog back, and I guess my husband met with Mrs. Lignar and said, your dog has done several $100s worth of damages to our shrubs, our hedges, our fences, our bushes. You need to have someone come over and take a look at the damages. Well, they never came back. Well, Sammy must have come back 2 or 3 more times and kept jumping over our fence. At one point, we had him in our screened-in porch while he went through our screened porch. It's 2 years old, and it was custom built. The final straw was 2 o'clock in the morning. He came over our fence again, and we have a doggy door because we have 4 dogs of our own. Well, he came in through the doggy door, and he jumped into bed with our 4-year-old and our 2-year-old and scared the living daylights out of them. And to this day, we cannot get our kids to sleep in their own bed because they're terrified that this dog is going to come in and scare them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eva and Raymond Reininger are suing their neighbors, Brad and Deborah Lignar, for damage to their backyard. The Reiningers say their dog, Sammy, is the culprit.
Go ahead.
We have estimates. We have pictures of the damage of what the house looked like before Sammy, after Sammy. And what we did was we just went to a local gardening store and got estimates on how much it would cost to replace the plants and the shrubs. And we got an estimate from the people who did the screen on how much it would cost to repair. These are the before and after pictures of Sammy. And these
How
are
old
the
was
estimates.
Sammy?
I believe they told me at the time that he was a little over a year old.
Okay, who's going to speak for your family?
Me, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to hear you.
Well, the dog got loose when we were in Daytona. My daughter was coming over to feed my animals. Okay.
How many animals do you have?
I have 1 black lab and 2 cats.
And the black lab was kept outside?
Yeah, he was outside dog.
Never comes in your house?
Nah, he comes in. She doesn't like because of the dog here and stuff, but I sneak him in.
So the dog was outside day and night when you were away?
Yes.
Didn't you ever hear of a kennel?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's wrong with the kennel?
Well, he protects the house if anybody tries.
It's not protects the house if he's not there.
Well, somebody let him loose.
No.
Oh, yes.
Well, they didn't let him loose.
Well,
They didn't let him loose.
one of the neighborhood kids has let him loose before. You know, 'cause-
So if you know that happened before, then you should have taken steps and used a kennel.
Well, what I can't understand is they said Sammy turned around and broke the chain. Well, I have the dog's chain right here.
Well, we didn't have a ghost dog. It was your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
They did not go and get your dog. So why didn't, when they presented you with these bills, why didn't you take care of them?
I wasn't home at the time.
Well, what makes you think you're not responsible for these bills?
I don't see it's my dog's doing it. You know, maybe once or twice, but, you know, they have pictures every day that they said it was my dog. There's neighbors got other black labs, and they have a female black lab.
So?
Now, how do I know their dog didn't do it?
You don't, except that they say so. Did the Reiningers ever call you and indicate to you that they could place the dog?
No, she did not. If she did, she got somebody else's phone number.
Well, let's go back to the first time they came. Mrs. Reiniger says that the first time she came and said she has your dog because she had to go and find you, you said, well, just open the gate and tell him Poppy's home and he'll go home. Does that sound right to you?
No, I told her, I said, where's the dog at? She says, my house, chained up, in her backyard. Well, if you were going to get rid of a dog...
So what did you tell her to do?
I told her, unchain the dog, tell him to come home, he'll come home. If not, I'll come down and get him.
Is that stupid?
No.
I mean, is there something wrong with you? Your dog's been missing, you're gone. Somebody, total stranger, goes to the trouble of finding out where you live.
This was the second time.
I'm talking about the first time. Finding out where you live, coming to your home and saying, we have your dog, we've taken care of your dog while you've been on vacation in Daytona. Okay, we've taken care of your dog and protected your dog. Wasn't hit by a car, was fed, was cared for. And instead of you getting into your car and going over there and saying, thank you very much, I'm sorry for any trouble or inconvenience, you say, oh, just open up the door, let him go, tell him Poppy's home. What the hell's wrong with you?
I don't know where she got this Poppy stuff from.
Probably from you.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah. And it kept happening again and again and again. So clearly, something was wrong with the security system that you had, unless you believe that these people came and stole your dog out of you.
They might have done that, too.
Are you under psychiatric care?
Yeah.
Huh?
No.
Are you under psychiatric care? You on any medication?
No.
And then you're just being a smart mouth. Where is Sammy now? How is it that he hasn't been back to your house in how long?
It's been quite a while.
Where is he now?
She had him, my wife had him.
Put to sleep.
Why did you have him put to sleep?
While all this has been going on, I had taken Sammy to get him neutered. And when I took him in to get him neutered, he was diagnosed with heartworm. So I had to have him put to sleep.
You don't put a dog to sleep who has heartworm. You treat him.
No, they said it was too
They said
too
he
far
was
gone.
into the advanced stages, so...
Well, if he was in the advanced stages, it means you weren't giving him heartworm medication, which you're supposed to give your dogs. That's what dogs get, heartworm pills. So, you know, especially they're outdoor dogs. Why weren't you giving the dog proper pills?
We were.
If a dog is getting heartworm medication regularly, they do not get heartworm. Unfortunately, Mr. and Mrs. Reiniger, you're only suing for $470. I say that unfortunately because these are the most irresponsible people that I've met in a long time. That's just damage to your yard and your property and not for the trauma that Sammy caused when he just came into the room. He didn't hurt your children, but he came in the middle of the night. Your lawsuit seeks $470. Judgment for the plaintiff. Don't get any more dogs.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They're selling their house. So they want to re-landscape. I'm surprised they didn't ask for a new paint job.
If they did indeed have the dog put down at a vet, I'd like to know what vet, because we were told that it's possible that they had the dog shot and put down that way.
She lied.
The sheriff came and he saw this dog actually scale our fence.
He said that the dog had done some damage to a door and that he had destroyed some bushes at their home.
The dog had come into our house and scared the kids, and they wouldn't sleep upstairs in the bedroom anymore.
How do I know that my dog went inside there?
How do you go away for 4 days or 3 nights and leave your dog alone?
They lied a few other things.
I just hope that nobody ever lets them own another pet.
It's a big scam.
Irresponsible people should not be pet owners.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gomez versus Todd. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Bonnie Gomez is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old appliance salesman A.D. Todd, for an unpaid loan for bail. A.D. says he never asked Bonnie for help.
Mrs. Gomez, the defendant was dating your daughter. She was 17 at the time, and according to your complaint, he got himself arrested, called you, begged you to bail him out of jail. You did. It was a loan, and he hasn't paid you back.
That's correct.
When did he call you and tell you that he had been arrested?
He called me on June 20th, about 10 p.m.
And what did he say to you?
He said that he had gotten himself arrested for a mistaken identity, is what he told me.
He got himself arrested for a mistaken identity?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the last time I looked in the penal law that that was a crime.
Yeah, I didn't either. So he asked if I could bail him out, and his words were, Miss Bonnie, please, I can't stand it here, please bail me out.
Your Honor, she's lying.
Did I ask you anything yet?
No, ma'am.
So I asked him how the bond system worked because I'm not familiar with how jail and stuff works. And he says, well, if you put up the bond, you get the money back. So I spoke to somebody at the bond company, and they said the way it works is that they put up a big bond for him. I pay some, but I don't get it back. They get their money back if he shows up to court. And so I hesitated, and they said, well, we have 2 other bonds out on him, so he's a good risk. He will go to court. And I said, well, let me think about it. And he
Did you know at the time that he had been arrested at least twice before?
No, I did not.
What was he arrested for this time?
Well, what he told me originally was that it was mistaken identity, and after I bailed him out, he told me that his girlfriend, the mother of his baby, had said that he had beat her up. Come to find out later on when I went to get a copy of what he was arrested for, he was arrested for possession with intent to distribute and criminal impersonation.
Drugs.
Drugs, yeah. And I supposedly, from what I understand, impersonating a police officer.
Okay. So you posted his bond?
Yes.
$1,500.
Right.
Did you ever get it back?
No.
Did you ask him for it back?
When I bailed him out of jail that night, I said to him on the telephone before I went to the jail, I said, you know, I need this money back. I'm a single mom raising 5 kids. You know, my health hasn't been very good for a few years. I haven't been able to work. What I have is in my savings, and that's what I'm supporting my kids with. And he says, Miss Bonnie, I have the money. I just have to go get it. As soon as I get you, you know, you come and get me out of jail, we'll go get the money. I said, okay, fine. And I said, would you sign an IOU? And he said, yes, I will. He says, I'll sign whatever. You want to put interest on there, whatever, I'll sign it. So went ahead, went over to the jail, signed him out of jail, wrote a check out for what it cost to get him out, the $1,500. It was about probably 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. And he says, you know, Miss Bonnie, it's a little late, you know, to go over to my friend's house, so let's just wait till the daytime. And I said, that's fine, you know, because I was pretty tired as well. And come the next morning, you know, a few hours later, I made him sign an IOU, which I can't find now, it disappeared. And he left and haven't seen him since.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bonnie Gomez says her daughter's ex-boyfriend, A.D. Todd, owes for an unpaid loan for bail. A.D. says he never asked Bonnie for help.
Where were you arrested, sir?
At the apartment that I stayed at.
What were you arrested for?
Possession.
Possession of what?
Marijuana.
That was at least the 3rd arrest that we know about because you'd been bonded twice before. What were your prior arrests?
Harassment and driving without a license.
You don't get arrested for driving without a license or
well,
bonded.
in Colorado, if you ain't got your license and insurance, you do go to jail.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay, but anyways, Your Honor, when I went to jail, I called Mrs. Gomez's daughter. I asked her, would she go and tell my mom to get me out of jail? She said, all right. That's the last time I ever called her house. 2.5, 3 hours later, there was somebody bailing me out. They told me to pack my stuff. You know, I gas out. You know, Erica was sitting there, and I didn't know who Miss Gomez was at the time because I never met her. So I signed the bail bondsman papers. Miss Gomez leaves out with us. And we gets to her house, you know, because I stayed like 2-3 blocks away. You know, and I'm talking to her. You know, next thing you know, I goes home that night, and I comes back the next day. And she tells me, well, Mr. Todd, you know that you're going to owe me $1,500 for getting me out. I'm like, you know, shocked. I didn't think I owed her anything. I mean, I didn't ask her to bail me out of jail. She did on her own. I mean, if her daughter did, then that's on them. That's not on me. But I was dating her daughter at the time, you know, and I guess I picked up responsibility and said, okay. You know, so like 2, maybe 3 days later, I had like a really bad necklace, you know.
Like a really bad necklace? What was wrong with it?
No, I mean, I had like, I had a nice, really expensive necklace. It was Pegasus. It was about yay big. And
probably cost $2 at a flea market.
Yeah, it had like 2.5 carats worth of Marquise and Big Ed diamonds in it. I mean, it wasn't like Cuban zirconia. It was retail price of like $15,000. And I gives it to the plaintiff's daughter, and I never seen it since then. You know, I never called the house again, and Ms. Gomez never said that I owe her any money. She never brought the subject up to me. You know, everything was all right from what I knew. I say about a month and a half later, me and her daughter still talking. You know, I comes back from the store. It was me and my little brother and my baby's mom. And we gets out of the car, and this white car pulls up. Miss Gomez is in the passenger seat. Then a bunch of little Mexicans get out the car and try to beat me up. You know, taking off their shirts, saying, what's up, Holmes, you know, is this him, is this him? I hear a lady in the background saying, yeah, that's him. You know, so they run up to me, and I'm taking off my jewelry so I can, honestly.
You wouldn't mind showing me that jewelry, would you, sir?
No.
Could I see it up here, please? Bird, would you get that for me?
You want to see what's on my neck, too?
No, that's what you're going to give Bird is sufficient. Keep talking, Mr. Todd.
Okay.
I'm fascinated.
Okay. But anyways...
No, really?
Okay.
I don't know. Please don't laugh. I'm fascinated.
Okay, but after the little essays run up on me and try to beat me up, you know, my little brother goes in the house and gets my mom. You know, she gets out of the car. My mom says, you know, what's going on? My mom didn't even know who these people were. Miss Sanchez get out of the car, and she's like, well, your son owes me $1,500. I'm just looking like, I don't owe you a thing, you know. Never once did I get told that I owe you any money. You know, so after that, you know, I never seen Mrs. Gomez again. You know, after I gave her the necklace, it was like, I guess everything was okay.
So what you're saying is you gave her daughter the necklace to pay off this debt? Is
Yeah,
that what
she
you're
could have
telling
took it to any pawn shop.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Todd, usually when you go to court, you get all dressed up?
Yes, ma'am.
Put on your finest, right?
No. It's not my finest.
You have better.
Yes.
Really? Have better clothes?
Yes.
Have better jewelry?
Yes.
Where is your better jewelry?
This is like from way back, before I even moved to Colorado.
I'm talking about this jewelry.
All this stuff is old. I had this stuff for a long time.
Because one would think if you were wearing all this flashy junk that, that this would be your best stuff.
No.
Right? No, the best stuff you gave away to her daughter. The one with
It was one of the best.
The $15,000
Yes, ma'am.
piece.
It was one of the best.
Wasn't any junk like this. Wasn't any
No,
glass like this, you
No,
know,
ma'am.
in whatever kind of metal this is.
All right.
Right?
Right.
It was a really good one. Gold
ma'am.
and diamonds and
Yes, ma'am.
and well-cut stones that was worth $15,000. Where did you get $15,000 from?
Family.
From your family?
Yes. My dad had bought the necklace for me at the time.
Really? He must love you very much. Must be very proud of you.
Yeah?
You owe her $1,500. Listen, you get yourself arrested. She's nice enough to come at 2 o'clock in the morning, leave her 5 children to come and pick you up, and you're doing a dance? Do me a favor, return this garbage to him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm just glad that everybody in Colorado knows what kind of person A.D. Todd is.
I just don't think she heard my side, and never once did I ask her to get me out.
If you borrow something, you need to pay it back.
Don't trust a woman.
Just let them stay in jail. Obviously, they did something to get themselves there.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Peterson versus Thornhill. Step forward, please.
20-year-old college student Serene Peterson is suing her former friend, administrative assistant Jasmine Thornhill, for unauthorized use of her credit card. Jasmine says she had Serene's permission.
Miss Peterson, the defendant was a good friend of yours. You claim, however, that she stole your credit card and used it without your permission, racking up tremendous bills for which you are responsible. The defendant says she did, in fact, use your credit card. She used it with your permission. You had an arrangement where she would pay the bill, and she was perfectly prepared to honor that arrangement. You knew her for a long time?
Around 6 months.
When do you claim she stole your credit card?
December 15th, I was over her apartment on a social engagement. When I left, I accidentally left my wallet with my credit card inside her apartment.
Go ahead.
2 days later, after searching my belongings, I called her and asked her if she had it. She said that she did, and I went over and I retrieved it the same day.
Your credit card?
Yes.
Go ahead.
After that, everything was fine until I received my statement. That was in mid-January. The statement had some charges, along with the charge that I purchased for Miss Thornhill while I was at her apartment.
What do you mean the charge that you purchased for her?
When I was over her apartment on the 15th, she asked me if she could use my credit card to purchase something online. I agreed to make the purchase for her.
What did you purchase for her online?
An online thing from Pier 1 for $62.67.
Can I see that bill, please?
Yes.
Now you have certain things highlighted.
Yes, those are all of the charges that Ms. Thornhill made, except for the one on December 5th.
You have one here for December 19th.
Yes, that's correct.
But you got your credit card back on December 17th.
Yes.
You have something on the 18th.
There are a series of charges made after December 15th, extending onto May. I have a complete list. All of the charges I did not make, Ms. Thornhill made.
Real cases, real people, Judge Judy. Serene Peterson says former friend Jasmine Thornhill stole her credit card and ran up charges. Jasmine says Serene gave her permission to use it.
Let me hear your version of how you got this credit card.
Sure, Your Honor. Prior to December 15th, I had asked Ms. Peterson if I could use her credit card in order to make some online purchases for Christmas and some other purchases as well. She said it was no problem. She would come to my workplace in the next couple of days and she would give me the card so I could go ahead and do that. She came to my workplace as agreed and she left the card in my possession. After that, I proceeded to make a few of the online purchases and I asked her, was it okay if in the coming couple of weeks, if I needed, if I could use it again? And Ms. Peterman's statement to me was, well, hey, I don't have a job right now. You're working full-time. If you want to use it, just make sure you pay the bill. I'll send the statements to you, and we won't have a problem. So I began to use the card under the verbal agreement that we had made. Ms. Peterson got her statement in mid-January. I asked her what the amount was she going to send that to me? She said no, because of the fact that she had made a charge in December herself. She'd go ahead and take care of that payment. She said, but then when the rest of my charges became evident in the February bill, that I would begin to be responsible for it. In February, as agreed, she mailed me the payment, and I have proof of that because I sent in a money order to make that payment.
Your Honor, may I say something, please?
Go ahead.
After Ms. Peterson reviewed that statement, and I sent a copy of it to her, of the statement itself, along with a copy of the money order to her in the mail as proof that I had indeed made that payment. Then came February, and she received a statement, and she was very concerned by the growing balance. I told her, I said, I can understand that, but it just so happens that you and I have a different standard of the way that we live. I understand some of the things I might buy might appear expensive to you, but I'm expecting tax money. I'll definitely use some of that towards lowering the balance, and I will definitely honor our initial agreement. I don't in any way want to...
stick you.
Right, exactly. March came along. That's when Ms. Peterson, I think, she started to get really upset.
Well, just show me the rest of the payments that you made.
That's the only payment that I made successfully.
Why?
That was the only statement that she sent to me.
In February?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you make purchases in March?
Those actually, ma'am, were purchases that I had made in February that were on back order.
Then you cancel them. What are you, nuts?
No, honestly, ma'am, you're right. That's something she certainly could have done.
All right, Miss Peterson, let me tell you what I think. I think you lied to me when you said she stole your card and you had no knowledge of the fact that she was using your card till you got these statements. Let me tell you why. Because if I got a statement in the month of January that showed unauthorized usage of my card, and since you weren't using the card at all, correct?
Correct.
Then you cut up the card, you call the company immediately, and you say, discontinue this card, I'm canceling this card, no further purchases are authorized. You didn't do that.
I did, Your Honor.
No. If you did that immediately, in January, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Then you are not responsible for these. If you canceled your card, and they continue to allow someone else to use it in an unauthorized way, you are not responsible.
When I called them in December, they told me that they had been trying to contact me because they had red flagged my card because of suspicious behavior. They had also told me that someone called up and got my card reactivated. Numerous times I called them and I canceled my card.
Do you know her mother's maiden name?
No, ma'am.
Do you know her social security number?
I don't know by heart, but I did know it.
Good. Did you ever call to reinstate her card?
No, ma'am.
No. Miss Peterson, what happened is that you let her use your card.
I did not.
Then if these are unauthorized charges on your account, and you did not give her permission, and you canceled your card, then you are not responsible for these.
That's what I told Bank of... However, they told me, because I told them that I knew who was making the charges, I said, I can direct you to the person who is fraudulently using my card. They said that it's a civil matter now and that I have to bring up the charges against her because they are not going to take them off.
No, that's not true. Call the police. Madam, if what you're telling me is that somebody stole your credit card and used your credit card without your permission, call the police and have her arrested. Simple as that. They're going to arrest her and you won't be out any money. You won't be out any money if what you're telling me is true. What you're telling me is true, correct?
Yes.
Right? You didn't give her permission to use your card.
No.
You're sure of that?
I'm positive.
Then you don't have anything to worry about. Call, have her arrested for grand larceny. You are not responsible for the payments because you did, in fact, cancel your card.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. Then we have nothing to worry about. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope Ms. Thornhill enjoys her few months of freedom because she will be going to jail.
Ms. Peterson and I had a verbal agreement that I would make the monthly payments on her account until my charges were paid for.
She thinks that she can just walk all over somebody just because she has a pretty face or whatever.
What's frustrating to me is the fact that, for one, that she's trying to make me out to be a liar or to be a thief.
I know that Ms. Thornhill stole the credit card because she admitted so.
That's completely untrue.
She just got away with stealing and lying.
She needs a lot of help, obviously.
58, Smith versus Crosley. All parties, please step forward.
Justin Smith is suing his ex-girlfriend, Jessica Crosley, for an unpaid loan.
Miss Crosley, I'm going to start with you. You and Mr. Smith were in a romantic relationship for a period of time.
Yes.
From when to when?
I want to say it was about a year before my son was born. My son was born February 11th, 2019, and our relationship ended about 4 or 5 months after he was born.
And after you separated, according to what I read, you sort of remained friends.
Yes.
Great. You had some trouble with your finances, and you had serious debt. What kind of work do you do?
I am a credit collections agent.
Not a good thing when you're a credit collections agent. And this was after you had already been separated for a long period of time. And at some point, what I'm piecing together is you discussed your financial circumstances with Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And one of your options was to seek protection in bankruptcy.
Correct.
And Mr. Smith thought that that was a bad idea.
Yes.
So he suggested that you take out a loan, consolidate all this debt, which was on, I assume, on credit cards with very high interest. And since he had credit, he would take out the loan and you would pay that loan off, which was manageable every month. Is that generally what this is about? Yes.
His behavior had started getting irrational, scary, started calling me a lot, asking my whereabouts, texting me, driving by my house on several occasions I saw.
I'm still not understanding.
Justin Smith claims his ex-girlfriend, Jessica Crosley, owes for an unpaid loan.
Mr. Smith did take out that loan, month and year.
March of 2022, this year.
What were the payments each month, starting in March or April, principal and interest?
He had told me that it was $500.
Told you they were $500. He took out that loan, and am I correct, Ms. Crosley, that you paid off your credit card debt?
Yes.
And you paid off your debt with the loan that he took out?
Yes.
And you did, in fact, create a situation where the money, because you were employed, would come out directly from your bank account to go to pay off the loan to his bank account.
Yes.
And you did that in what month?
That was started, I believe, at the end of April or beginning of May.
And how many such payments did you make?
Biweekly payments, I believe I made about 6.
Thereby acknowledging that this was a loan. At some point, you stopped making the payments. What month did you stop making the payments?
In July of this year.
Why?
So I had started seeing my current boyfriend.
This is not a social show. Just tell me why.
So I had to take a day off of work to file for an order of protection.
Why did you have to take a day off from work to file for an order of protection?
Because I was advised to by a police officer I spoke to.
Okay. And I assume against him?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the incident.
Okay. So in July, when I started seeing my current boyfriend, Justin had expressed that he wanted us to get back together, and I had told him no, that was not going to happen. And then his behavior had started getting irrational, scary, started calling me a lot, asking my whereabouts, texting me, driving by my house on several occasions I saw. And then there was an incident on July 19th where I had allowed his mother to take my son to a play, and she was supposed to drop him off back to me. And instead of dropping him back off to me, she had dropped him off with his father at his work. And then I got a call from Justin yelling, saying, "Where are you? What are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm on my way back home. Your mom's supposed to drop off Braden." He's like, "I have Braden. I'll meet you at your house." So I said, okay. We got to outside my house, and then he pulled up next to me and then started screaming out of the car, like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" I was like, "I was spending time with Anthony, my boyfriend." And he's like, "I'm taking Braden. I'm not going to give him back to you." And my son's crying in the back seat. And I said, "No, you give him back to me. It is my day to have him. and he drove away. He later called me and said I could meet them at Dairy Queen. So I met them there. I got out of the car. I went up to my son, and as I was getting him in the car, Justin had walked up to my car and started yelling and swearing at me. And as me and my son started driving off, he threw a milkshake at my car, which scared me and my son very much.
Okay, good. And you filed for an order of protection. You had a trial on the order of protection,
Yes.
and the judge dismissed your order of protection.
Yes.
After the trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm still not understanding why you stopped paying on the loan.
So when I had lost my job.
You lost your job when?
The next day. The incident happened on the 19th. I had to take the 20th off to file for the order of protection. The 21st, I was let go.
Oh, that had nothing to do with you being let go. Nothing. I just want to know why you stopped paying on the loan. You stopped paying on the loan because you lost your job? Are you working now?
Yes, I just started working.
Well, did you start paying him back?
No. So
Why?
also in July, when all these incidents happened, Justin had stopped paying for daycare, which was our agreed upon child support payment. We don't have a court order for child support, but he had been paying all of daycare. I cover all of his other finances.
So that was an agreement that you had, that he would pay for daycare?
Yes.
Okay. And he stopped paying in July?
Yes, he started only paying half of daycare.
Okay, so let's go back. He started paying for half.
Yes.
How much was he supposed to pay per month?
$560 was the full amount of daycare each month.
Okay, and he had been paying that. In July, he cut it down to?
To $270, I believe.
80.
80.
Okay, so he wasn't completely not paying. He was paying part of it.
Correct.
Tell me why you cut the payments in half, because you have a counterclaim for that.
Yeah. So in July, we started a custody case for full custody of our son.
You're talking in July. Who started the custody case?
I did, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you retain a lawyer?
I did.
Is that case still ongoing?
It is.
Well, then I'm not entertaining anything about the daycare because you have that case in family court. The court there will make a determination as far as future child support and whether or not this daycare should have been paid. So you have no reason for not paying the loan.
I was planning on filing bankruptcy.
Okay, but you didn't. You didn't file for bankruptcy. You did the smart thing. How much is left on the loan?
It's in excess of $12,000 or $11,000.
What interest rate is on that loan, by the way?
36%, I believe. Current balance as of November 30th, $12,631.
How is a 30% loan better than her credit cards?
She had some loans in excess of 800%.
From whom?
Or over 500%. These were online lenders.
Oh, wow. Okay, you have a counterclaim. Harassment, daycare costs is out. Lost wages because you say you had to take a day off to file a protective order and you were fired? Nonsense. Harassment, let's hear it. And don't go back to anything that you told the judge during the hearing that you had where he dismissed your application for an order of protection.
Okay, well, the order of protection.
Okay,
that was.
They're just shh. Well, if that's the testimony, it's already been adjudicated. A judge, using the same measure of proof that I would use, dismissed your case. So I'm not relitigating that case. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I believe he was angry that I started a relationship with somebody.
I think the restraining order was part of her defense as to why she didn't want to pay me back anymore.
I was ready to file bankruptcy, and he had offered to take it out for me.
You know, at the end of the day, the loan is still agreed upon and still needs to be repaid.
I think that that's a good lesson, that you can't use the court systems and restraining orders to get out of a loan that you have really no excuse for not paying except for you lost your job. And I just think it's tricky. I think that a lot of defendants come in here and think that they can just say, I didn't have the money and so I don't have to pay it. But that's not the case.
What's most interesting to me is these 800% or 500% or 100% interest-bearing loans.
I know, it's something.
Where did that come from?
It's something I've seen recently in the past couple of years. It seems like every online shopping venue now has some form of loan payment or loan offering or sign up for our loan program. And I'd never seen that before. And if you don't read the fine print, you could get stuck in just like the...
It's 2161, Shaheen versus Larry. All parties, please step forward.
Jamal Shaheen is suing his neighbor, Sabrina Larry, for car damage after Sabrina hit his vehicle and a house.
Mr. Shaheen, tell me where you live.
I live in Moorhead, Minnesota.
And on September 8th of this year, you parked your relatively new car that, according to you, you got a week before.
No, Your Honor.
I had just purchased a Sequoia a week before.
No, actually, it's not. It's not the new car. I mean, it's a used car, but I purchased it maybe a year before that, not exactly a week.
Okay. So it's not a new car and you didn't purchase it a week before?
No.
But you parked it in front of your house. Do you have a photograph of the car?
I do.
I'd like to see it. And it is your claim that the defendant, Miss Larry, while under some sort of influence of some sort of substance, was driving her car, had an accident, hit your car, and caused it to move 25 feet, and it was damaged.
Yes.
And the damage to the car was the rear bumper.
Yep.
Not yep. Yes is the answer.
Yes.
Yes is the answer. Okay. Miss Larry, what time did you have your accident?
9 or 10 a.m.
On the 8th?
Yes.
Where were you coming from?
The grocery store.
Where were you going?
Home.
What kind of drugs had you taken?
I was taking Benadryl, prescription medication. That's all I had. That's what I took. And
Can I see the police report? You remember hitting his car?
No.
You remember the police coming to where your car stopped?
No, I don't remember the police coming.
Well, did the police come?
They did, yes.
And you don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
Were you taken to a hospital?
I was.
You have the discharge notes from the hospital?
I do.
I'd like to see it. What kind of narcotics were found inside the vehicle?
It's alleged that it was a...
No, it's not alleged. This is a police report. I'm asking you. What kind of narcotics were found in your car?
They said that they found a round blue pill that had an M30 on it. That's what it stated.
Sarah, do me a favor.
Sure.
Look up under illegal drugs, M30.
So M30s imitate oxycodone obtained from a pharmacy, but when sold on the streets, the pills routinely contain fentanyl.
Look up this name, Percocet. You smoke Percocet? How do you smoke Percocet? That's the only thing you remembered. You didn't remember the accident. Patient remembers smoking Percocet pill just prior to allegedly passing out and crashing her vehicle. That's what they say from your doctor.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Well, that's what they're saying. The history is provided by the patient. The history is limited by condition of the patient. History is limited because the patient does not remember the actual automobile accident. Remembers smoking Percocet pill just prior to allegedly passing out and crashing her vehicle. You think the doctor made that up? And they just so happened to have found this blue pill in your console in your car?
That's what they are saying.
Okay. You actually know you could have killed yourself. Yeah. Okay. And you don't remember anything about it because that's what you told them. You don't remember anything about anything after you smoked the little blue pill, which is what they said. So your car was moved. That's the damage to your car.
Yep.
So can I see the estimate for the damage, please?
I think
You gave it to me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Have you had the car fixed?
Just the back tail light that I had to put it on. I was trying to fix it, but don't have any money to do it.
Sarah, look up, please, would you?
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, great. Thank you. Oh, it's a 21-year-old car. It's got 226,000 miles on it. How much did you pay for it, sir?
I paid 10.
We're not going to spend 7 to fix it.
But that's how much it costs.
You find somebody to do it less.
Well, now I am without a car.
You're not without a car, sir. You put on the taillight so that you could drive it. This car is not drivable.
That car was dragged. That back axle, it shakes. I can't drive it in
Between 2
a
and
highway.
5,000.
Between 2 and 5,000. You paid too much for the car, sir. You don't understand something, sir. Even though she was high on drugs and passed out in her car and you were not at fault, it's not windfall day. If you can buy the car for $2,000, buy an old 22-year-old car for $2,000. She's not paying you $7,000 to fix a $2,000 car. That's ridiculous. And I'm not stupid. Do we understand each other? Now, between
$2,500 and $5,000 based off of a 250,000 mile 2002 Toyota.
So you have to find somebody who's going to fix your car for $3,000, sir. That's $1,000 more than you could buy it for. We're done here. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
I would remember if I hit a car, and I didn't.
She ran into my car, run into a garage.
I know exactly what I took, and it definitely wasn't narcotics.
That area that I was living in, it's a really bad area. A lot of drugs are going on over there.
I'm very, very lucky. I'm very blessed. Like she said, I could be dead.
Just the audacity of some plaintiffs to come in here with an almost 22-year-old car with 275,000 miles on it And I looked it up, and I even priced it on the positive end, the private party value, not a trade-in and so forth. $7,000 he was comfortable asking the court for a car that's not even worth $7,000.
Yeah, he'll buy.
For a back panel.
Buy a new one. He was lying when I said, how much did you pay for the car? $10,000. That's ridiculous. And he just bought it.
Case 2135, Coleman versus Washington. All parties, please step forward.
Koana Coleman. He's suing caretaker Jessica Washington for stolen money, travel costs, and elder abuse.
Miss Coleman, how old is your mother?
90.
Do you live with her?
I do.
How long have you been living with her?
3 years.
You're her primary caretaker?
Yes, ma'am.
She suffers from?
Dementia.
For how long?
I identified it in December of 2019. And I just stayed from that point on, sleeping on her couch.
At some point, you had to go out of town for a period of time.
Yes.
You hired the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get to her?
My cousin Andrea was friends with her, and she said that she would be a great candidate.
Did you interview her?
I spoke with her later on. She came by the house, and...
What date did you first speak to her?
Maybe about a day or two before I left.
And on what date did you leave?
The 11th of August.
How long were you going to be away for?
About 7 days.
And tell me, Miss Washington, are you employed now?
Yes, I am.
By whom?
Well, I do self-employment, and I also have my own little business on the side as well, you know, caring for elderly people.
Okay. Did you have any special training for the care of the elderly?
I got my AED and my CPR. No, not really, because basically I've been just dealing with family members.
For how long?
I'm gonna say at least like 5 years.
And you had no special training for the care of the elderly? Okay, and did you explain that to the plaintiff?
She knew that.
Don't tell me what she knew. I didn't ask you what she knew.
Koana Coleman claims caretaker Jessica Washington stole money from her mother, who suffers from dementia.
Okay. On what day were you supposed to report to take care of her mother?
August 11th.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Who was there?
It was Miss Coleman and her mother.
And the arrangement that you made with her was for 7 days, and you would be living with her mother?
For 7 days.
And what was she to pay you for the 7 days?
We never discussed a payment.
Well, this is what you were doing for a living, and you had jobs for the last 5 years. Is not an answer. Yes is the answer. And when you work for other people who you'll tell me about, what did you charge them?
I didn't really charge them anything. That's why I'm saying me and her never discussed a price, because she didn't know if I was going to charge her or not. Because I could have watched her mother for nothing, just because. That's family.
Okay. Well, this is what the case is about. You watched her mother for 1 day, and then you left. And according to her, her mother fell. When you left, after the 1 day, she had left $400, and you took the $400. That's what she says when you left. Your answer is that you earned that $400 in the 1 day. That's why you took it. You have a counterclaim because she has said to someone that what you did amounted to elder abuse. Now, you started on the 11th. Tell me when you left.
The date that I left was August 12th at 4:30 in the morning because I was put out.
Who put you out?
Her cousin Andrea, which is my godmother, because I called her to help me pick her mother up off the floor, which her cousin told me to leave.
No. You can't tell me what anybody else told you. Prior to 4:30 on the 12th, did Miss Coleman's mother suffer a fall?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And where did she fall?
She fell on the floor. She was sitting at the table where I was sitting at as well, too. I got up to use the bathroom.
At 4:30 in the morning?
We was up all night.
Could you tell me why?
Because she was waiting for her daughter to come back, because before her daughter left out the house, being as though that the lady has dementia and Alzheimer's, they think about the future, the past, and the present. She's thinking that her daughter is coming back because her daughter said, I will be right back. So that's why she sat up all night long. I was trying to put her to bed. She didn't want to go to bed, so I called.
Okay, so you were there from what time in the morning on the 11th?
I got there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the 11th.
So you were there for a little less than 12 hours, right? You came at 5 o'clock in the afternoon,
on
and
the
at
11th.
4:30, and at 4:30 in the morning, you left.
I didn't actually leave. I was told to leave.
But you left.
Yeah, and I didn't want to.
I don't care whether you wanted to or not. It's not particularly relevant, whether you wanted to or not. I understand what happened. You left, and when you left, you took the $400 that you found.
Because the mother told me to.
You mean the mother with dementia and Alzheimer's?
Yes, her mother told me.
Just a second. You mean the mother with dementia and Alzheimer's who you stayed up with 4:30 in the morning told you to take the $400? Okay. Now you're suing her for a lot more than the $400 because she said you had to come home from your travel. She's not responsible for that. She has to return the $400 to you. You told me 2 minutes ago, Miss Washington, that you never discussed fee.
We did.
Because this is not a question and answer. You didn't even know whether you were going to charge her anything because as far as you were concerned, it's family. Is not an answer. And you listened to the woman that you had been hired to care for because she has dementia and Alzheimer's and had fallen, and she said to you, take this $400, it's yours. What if she told you to take a piece of her jewelry? Would you have taken that?
No.
Yeah. You would have taken it because she gave it to you.
Because I'm not no thief. I wouldn't.
No, that's not what I'm telling you. You say that you took this $400 because this woman who can't make a judgment told you to take it. What if she said to you, I want you to have my pearls? Why not?
I'm not taking no jury because I have my own. I don't need her jury.
Okay, that's ridiculous. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. I'll take a look at the instance that you have on your counterclaim for slander when she says that you are guilty of elder abuse. What do you have to show me?
It's in a court order.
What do you mean it was in a court order?
It is. She went and filed elder's abuse on me plus the traveling expenses too. I have that court order.
Just a second. Is that what you're telling me? In her case against you for the $400 and for any other travel expenses, which I'm dismissing, that part of her claim, she said you were guilty of elder abuse. That's protected. Okay, your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I think the judge did a great job. I assume that she would be able to deal with my mother. It's difficult being a caregiver, and we as people need to do much more to protect our elderly.
We've seen a couple of these cases, and it's so unfortunate to see the elderly, and whether they're ill or sick or mentally not capable of caring for themselves anymore, zero training that some of these people have to really care for them, and it's scary. We've seen it too many times, and $400 on the counter to someone to just take it for 12 hours worth of work.
You know, it's always struck me as a shame that society has and the government has created situations where you need licenses to do certain things. You need a license to tweeze someone's eyebrows. You have to be a cosmetologist. You have to have a license. You have to go to school. You have to pass an exam. You need a license to have a dog. But the most vulnerable people in the population, those people who, as she said, she didn't know whether her daughter was coming back or not coming back. She said she'd be right back, so she was waiting up for her. That vulnerable person, when it worked to the defendant's advantage, said, well, she was perfectly capable of saying to me,
take the money.
Take the money. Yeah. Terrible. Really frightening.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.